Hello, hello. Uh, Welcome back to Adobe Live. We were just live a minute ago, going through some Adobe Firefly stuff, but this is the main stream that I had planned and prepared. That previous one was just a bit of a bonus one, jumping in. So welcome everyone to Adobe Live. My name is Joe Allam. I'm a travel photographer and filmmaker, currently based in, I'm actually in Japan. I've been in Osaka for the last month or so. I'm now in Tokyo for the week, which is one of my second homes. And yeah, so it's good to see you all. I can see in the chat, we've got a few people who've just hopped over from the previous stream. So hello again to Gareth, Umacorn, Barbara, Freddie's there, and Tim is back in the chat as well. Long time no see, absolutely. We go way back. What is it? About 1 minute or so? So yeah, welcome everyone. So for this stream, I wanted to try my best to create this idea that I've had running through my head for a little bit of time now, and I wanted to see if I could make some sort of animated magazine cover or something for some of my photography and video. So think of this as a way to stand out on Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts and other things. So I think I got inspired by this when I just happened to be having a coffee somewhere, and I just saw in the distance some sort of magazine that was laying over on their table, and I thought, that's very simple, kind of cool, and you know, it's got typography, it's got imagery, it's got texture, it's got all the things that I love in a single thing. I was like, I wonder if I could make my own sort of digital version as a way to maybe put some of my photography in a bit more of a commercial context, so that when I post to Instagram, it stands out and it doesn't just look like imagery that you've seen elsewhere. So I kind of jotted down a few ideas and just maybe mocked up a bit of a, I don't know, a bit of a cover like this. I happened to be out and about in Osaka one night going through Umeda, which is the northern part of Osaka. So Osaka is kind of said to have like two city centers. You got Kita, which means north, and then you got the other area, Namba, in the south. And the two have very distinct differences in styles and different feels. And I happened to be staying in between the two, so I could easily walk between them. But when I was around Umeda, the feeling I got is I felt like it was kind of like a night crawler. I don't know, this word just kept going through my mind. And I just had, yeah, just different sort of feelings and emotions, because in places it was quite dark and gritty, but there's always bright lights, there's always just kind of chromy scenery, and there's I think a lot of like bigger businesses, they've got offices and headquarters there, but at the same time it's one of the biggest transportation hubs for the region, and so there's plenty of like dining, eating, drinking, and people wandering about and stuff. And so you get scenes like this, which if I go back to the original image, let's just see that on its own. So I just quickly threw these together in Illustrator. Of course, ordinarily when doing magazine layouts, you would use InDesign, but you know what? Sometimes I just feel quicker and you know, rough and ready, just dumping it in Illustrator and just playing around there. So I've got this particular photo here, which is actually a JPEG straight out of camera. I've not edited this in Lightroom or anything. This is just straight from my Fuji X-H2S, which is one of my favorite cameras ever. And yeah, I thought this is kind of a cool scene that I could work with. And then I just mocked up just a quick, you know, big piece of text, smaller piece of text. And then I've got this texture. I think that's on a locked layer. Yeah, I got this texture, which, believe it or not, I've had this texture for about 15 years or so. I think I actually scanned this at college. It was called like foamy paper or something in my assets folder. And I just desaturated it and bumped the contrast a little bit and just, yeah, added a bit of texture. So it's kind of like a newsprint sort of style to things. And the idea is that I'm going to load this into After Effects, and we're going to create something, hopefully, I'm going to try my best at this, to animate this as a bit of a surprise and delight for when you scroll through Instagram. So of course you'll scroll through, you'll maybe see the photo, and then we'll jump to it being something else, and then some text will come in, and then it will maybe zoom out a little bit, and you're like, oh, this is a magazine cover. That's kind of the idea that we're going for here. Just got some extra text along here. So in terms of like a magazine cover, maybe you'd have like what this edition is about. Maybe it's a zine. Maybe you'd put some extra text on here that would be like an article name or something like that. And I've just got written in Japanese, this is Kita, which means north, and then Umeda Wanderer. Umeda, Kita, they're kind of the same name for the same area. In Osaka. And of course the image there. And I do also have some other images that are similar to this, and also some video files. So maybe we can swap those out and we can make it fully interactive and engaging in that way. So let's jump to After Effects. And I've got my vertical work layout here. And let's set this to fit. Oh, I don't want to adjust that. Let's just go. Come on, go smaller. There we go. Okay, so I was having a little bit of trouble earlier opening some of these panels, and it caused After Effects to crash. So let's hope it doesn't do that again. All right. So we have a composition here, which is just a 1080 by 1920, which I believe is still the best recommended settings if you're creating Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts. Anything higher than that, it does get compressed down. You lose a bit of quality. So let's render at 1080 by 1920, which is, of course, is a 9:16 aspect ratio. And I'm going for 5 seconds, but we're going to maybe scale it later. And we'll make it a flexible timing, and I'll probably put this in as a motion graphics template as well so that we can reuse it. And the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually just going to drop in what will be, I guess, our main sort of magazine cover as a base. So I've got this second composition here, and drop that in. And if we have a look at this composition, which is 1500 by 2000 pixels. So it's actually larger than our base one. However, it's in a 3:4 aspect ratio, which is just an aspect ratio that I really enjoy. I just like the aesthetic to it. And I think that's what I'd make my magazine at if we did that. So this is a 3:4 magazine cover. And let's start off with zooming out so that we can see. Let's just start off by dropping in our photo. So I should have my image. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? It's in my, is it in my Instagram or is it in my stories folder? I think it's in my stories folder. Okay, we've got this image. There we go, that's the one. So let's just drop that in, and let's maybe scale this down, and just gonna check in with the chat. Got a few extra comments in there. Question, have I worked in any cinematographic area? If you mean like filmmaking, then yeah, that is my main area of work. Most of what I do is based on YouTube, creating videos about travel photography and travel filmmaking. Or if you're referencing cinemagraphs, which are like animated GIFs, I experimented with those about 15 years ago. Never really did anything with them since. But yeah, they're always kind of a bit of fun. Okay, so we've got our image dropped in here. And first of all, I actually want to just go back to our main Instagram reel. And you can see that we've dropped in our composition, which is actually larger than our overall composition. And the first thing I want to do is actually just animate this. So we're starting with just a static imagery. And it's just going to be a base image. So if you imagine you first scroll onto this and you just see the image, we then want it to somehow animate away and start to develop into something else. So maybe only a few frames or a few seconds or so. How do we want to do this? So let's open down our transform. Maybe we want to scale this. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my keyframes. And I think what I could do is I could pop it sort of slightly larger and then snap it smaller. Okay, so we're going to go nothing for the first however many frames that is. And then we're going to scale it to a smaller size, and then I'm going to use the graph scaler to add a little bit more of a banding or like a pop to this. So let's go down to 60%. Let's open up our graph scaler and let's select both of these, make them fluid with these. And now we can grab our little yellow handle. And what will happen now if we just play that back? It should just go just a little bit of a pop. Sound effects not included. In fact, we can go a little bit closer to 110%. And you know what? I may even want to make it a little bit faster. So let's go. Okay, so it sort of snaps and pops. I don't think I'll get around to actually adding in the sound effects here, but I imagine I would like some sort of like a paper sound as it sort of drops into this format. So what we're doing is we're going from the full image, snapping to this sort of size, which is what is going to be the magazine position. You can see I've got some guides here already. These guides are as close as I can get to the safety areas of Instagram Reels. So if we have a look on where the interface is on Instagram, because it's a little bit messy. Let's not lie about that. So here's one of my reels that I've posted previously, and we can see, you know, this is from an iPhone 14 Pro Max. So it's not actually showing the full width of the reel. It's actually scaled up in height. We've got interface along the side for your liking, commenting, sharing. Interface along the bottom for your description, along the top for controls and other stuff. So these are all dead areas that you don't want to put anything important within your reel. So I've just marked off as best I can. That was weird. Software update, middle of the stream. So I've just marked off as best I can where this interface is kind of going to be in the way of things. And when you scale that back down to a full 1080, you end up with this area here, which is about 260 pixels from the top down to around 1560. And then on the left edge, you have about 80 pixels. And then on the right edge, where the interface comes in, is actually about 180 pixels. So yeah, it's a little bit messy. I'm not the biggest fan, but you know, it is what it is, and people use it and love it. Right, I'm also going to add in a background. So I'm going to double click my shape layer, and this is just going to be background, which is just going to be a white background. I could do a fill or something like that, but we'll just leave it as that for now. Okay, so our magazine cover, and let's just see that again. So it pops into place. Let's just have a look at our scale. There's our graph, and all right, so easy in, easy out. Okay, from here, we now want to start to interact with what's actually happening on the magazine cover. So maybe after it's popped in, we then want some text to appear. So now let's go into our magazine cover itself, and we can draw in from, yeah, about there. So let's add in some text, and this is where I was having difficulties earlier. So let's pray to the gods, add in our text layer, go Osaka. Okay, title. And I cannot open this. Okay, right, we're doing it this way. No, 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 no. He's done it again. Oh no, oh no. Earth to Tim, help. Okay, that was bizarre. Let's reopen After Effects. Uh-oh. So it did this earlier. Maybe let me change my workspace. Let's go back to this one. And okay. All right. We're going to work in this workspace. I think it's something to do with my vertical workspace. Something about it is a little bit funky. I'm not entirely sure why. So, all right. So we've just added in some text, and I've chosen a font here, which I think I've featured on the stream previously, which is called Shorai Sans. This is one of my favorite fonts. I would like to get the full collection at some point. It's a little bit pricey. So I've just got the one weight here, which is actually a free download from Monotype, which I've been experimenting with. And it's recently won some awards, actually. It's won some Type Directors awards as one of the best Japanese fonts. So it's got full Japanese character set. And it's just beautiful, big, chunky text. I love that so much. So let's build in this title here. And okay, this text is going to be sitting on this layer. And you can see where I've previously tried it before. And okay. So what do we want to do for this text? Well, one of the title sort of animations that is kind of common on my channel is a randomizer text effect. I've used it for years. It's inspired by the old departure boards of like old train stations and airports and things like that. And I think it's quite signature for my style, so I'm going to absolutely rinse and repeat for that. So we've got our text here, and we're going to animate a character offset. And so we have our offset, and what we want to do is we just want to option click, and we want to wiggle. So we're creating a text expression. How many times do we want to wiggle, and how frequently are we going to do it? So if we just hit play, that's just going to offset the characters. So every character here, it's just going to randomize it through a different offset of, you know, however many characters you want it to be. So I'm just going to have that going until about 1 second. So now we want to choose where we want to animate from. And in our range selector, we use the start. So I'm just going to hit from here. So it's going to keep randomizing. And then about half a second into it, that's where we're going to end up with the full word. So what this is going to do is it's going to go from the start of the word to the end. It's just going to stop randomizing and complete our text. So if we just hit play, we go blah, 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 Osaka, which I think is pretty cool. So that's our first animation that we've got happening here. All right, happy with that. But I want to add a little bit of a movement to this as well. So let's just go and do a bit of a transform. So if this is going to be our final position, let's just lock that into place. And maybe from here, we can do, actually, yeah, we can do it from here. Let's just bring it down ever so slightly. In fact, why is this? What should this be? 750 to be in the middle. And that should also be 750. Okay, so we've got randomizing, and then it sort of floats up in. In fact, that's maybe a little bit slow on the float. Okay. And let's then also add a bit of a smoothness to this. So we can select our position anchor points and we can smooth these out. Okay. And whoops. What's going on here? Let's go. Okay, why can't I get my control arms? What have I done wrong here? Okay, well, we can just have a bit of a smooth position there. But let's also add in some opacity, because we don't want it to just sit around down at the bottom and then just suddenly appearing. We actually want it to be completely invisible from here and then become visible from here. So let's go set our opacity to 0. And let's now watch this. So we've got a nice. Does that happen all a bit too much at once? Maybe we need to have our randomizer carry on going just a little bit longer. And have our randomizer start, so even when it just pops in and appears, it's still randomizing. Yeah, that looks great. Okay. Quick save. Cool. So we've got our text coming in like that. Now let's have a look at the overall, just to give it a bit of a context. So it pops in smaller, and then our title starts to appear. I think it all needs to happen a little bit sooner, actually. So we can select all of these and drop these down to there. Great. Starting to look like a magazine already. I think you can agree with that, hopefully. I do want to adjust just the position here. Typographically, it's a little bit uncomfortable, that A just touching and the O not. So that could be why I actually had my position a little bit off. So let's just maybe drop that back just 20 pixels. And, you know, if I was being super smart about this, which I don't think I've got the time to be smart about, I would start doing some code on here so that whatever the text is, it fits the width exactly. I did try doing it previously, and I think I got the script working, but I didn't have enough time to check and test it fully. So maybe we can just copy and paste and see if it works. So where was it? I think it was on this one. I was doing, no. Maybe it's here, scale. So I started creating this, which would scale up our text to make sure that it was always going to fit the width, no matter what was written in there. Let's see if it works. Okay, kind of did. And we've got our essential graphics here. Let's drop in our source text, just to make it quicker. So let's maybe change it to different word. Okay. Oh no, it didn't quite work. Didn't quite work. Okay, so that script doesn't work as expected. So let's cut that out. So we don't have time to be smart on this particular stream. We're going to do it hard written with the text. But ideally, what I'd like to make here is some sort of motion graphics template, so that when I eventually have this completed and I can open it in Premiere, I can just change the text at the top, and then I can change the imagery and other stuff, and then we can just have it very quick and easy to transform and adjust and make updates to. All right, so quick and ready is what we're going for. So let's delete that. Let's rename this to title. What else did we have in our quick mockup? We had a second bit of text, Nightcrawler. All right. So let's add in our second text. And oh, not on that text. Thank you very much. Let's create a new one down here. So night. Did I call it one word? I think I did. Night crawler. Alrighty. And let's go much smaller. Boom. That works. And let's position you like this. Again, just eyeballing it for now, because we are only on this stream for an hour. We are not able to be fully perfect, but you know, in a social media post, it's surprising how much people just post when it's done, and that's one of the things that actually holds me back posting a lot of the time. I need to post when it's done, not when it's perfect. That's a mentality I definitely need to hold on to. All right, so let's now copy over our text animations that we've got. So I'm just going to copy this animator already, go onto Nightcrawler, paste it there, and let's see how this works. Okay, so we've got our range selector happening. They both end at the same time, but I think I want them to be a little bit delayed from each other. So our range selector, let's just offset that by a smidge, which is an imperial term. Cool. So just a little bit like that. And let's also take our opacity and apply another smidge on our Nightcrawler. Okay. All right, do I want the pop-up for the second one? I think it's a little bit unnecessary having them both do the same thing. Or in fact, I could actually have it pop down. Maybe that's the format. Let's actually see it in its full context so far. No, I think I'm happy with it. Just pop in like that. Okay. So we've got this happening. And now we want to add in our other bit of text. And we can start to finesse things afterwards. Let's at least just get a full sort of composition happening first and foremost. And yeah, see how we're doing. Oh, Emma's in the chat as well. Mentioned we got plenty of new streams around Firefly today. Yes, we do. If you speak German, if you speak French, or English, then we've got streams that have happened throughout the day, and I think you're going to see plenty more of them. Yeah, there's lots of streams happening, and I was quite amazed with a lot of the tools and features available in Firefly, and I'm definitely going to test it out for future projects, because I'm always looking for efficient methods and ways to save time and other things. Alrighty, so I now want to add in that lower bit of text, which, if you remember, I had the Kita, which, to save me going back to Google Translate, I was going to copy that. And then I had my second text here. So new text layer, boom, paste. Brilliant. You've taken the font size. I appreciate that. After Effects, thank you very much. Okay, so do I want to lock this up off the edge? I think I do. I just want to run it off the actual page edge. I quite like that. And for this text, now it may not be suitable for all pieces of text, but for this particular character set, because it's got that curvature there, I kind of want to swing it in. I want to just sort of animate it with a bit of a rotate. So let's have that happen around about here. Let's just rearrange so our text is there, and transform. So we want a bit of a rotation. When's going to be our final position? Final position will be there. And then let's go back about a smidge. Again, I'm feeling very loose with this. Usually I'm so like particular on so many frames and other stuff, but I'm going by feeling. I think that's the best way to be. So we want to rotate. Where do we want it to come from? We want it to come from. Actually, let's just move our rotation position. Let's just adjust our anchor point. Like here. I've done this very backhanded, but there we go. Many ways to do things. Okay, so I've just put my anchor point to the top left, which is kind of just off the page slightly. Okay, so our rotation point, we want it to kind of swing in from, how far do we want to go? It's going to be slightly transparent for the start. So let's go 30 degrees. And then that will just come in. But let's go back to our favorite graph editor, rotation graph editor. Select these points, smooth them out. And let's just speed up the end point. Okay, so it just kind of locks into place like a ding. In fact, we can actually go even faster with that, I think. Yeah. Cool. It's a little bit of a finesse to these things. No, definitely want that faster. Okay, so let's go back to our timeline and let's also do an opacity. So from here to here, and we want 0. So it's going to kind of fade in from nothing. And then we're going to have Umeda Wanderer pop in from the edge. Tim saying, Joe, without precisely aligned text, I am scared. Well, be scared. I'm coming at you with my ruler. Don't worry, it's metric. Right, let's add in our final bit of text, which let's just copy and paste because After Effects loves that. And let's go text, new text. Oh. Boom. Thank you. It's brought the color as well. How brilliant is that? And let's place this. Ooh, do we go central? No, so we want left align paragraph. That's one thing for sure. And let's actually see where it's going to drop in. Maybe something like this could be cool. And I kind of want this to just pop in as like a side sort of line on things. In fact, because that is quite a long piece of text, we want it to look like it's just ever so slightly awkwardly not in the middle. We want it to definitely be left sort of justified. Okay, so our text drops in and then boom, that's when it slides across. You notice when I'm doing After Effects stuff, I do a lot of things with my hands before I actually translate it onto the Mac. I'm just kind of like, that's gonna go like that, and that's gonna go like that. It's just kind of all fits together as we go. All right, so from here, this is where we're gonna set our finalized position. So hit the stopwatch, boom, that's our final position. Go back a little bit, and we're just gonna drag it off. Let's drag it to 0. Okay, so it's gonna come from the edge of the screen, lock into place, and again, select those keyframes. Let's go to our graph editor, and let's just add a bit of momentum to this. Just add a kind of an over popped area. So what's going to happen is it's kind of like going to overshoot it and just drop back in. Let's just zoom in a little bit so we can see. Okay, and let's just play that. Cool. Zoomed in a little bit too much there. Maybe it just overshot just a little bit too much. Okay, so you can see it just pops into place. And likewise, we're also going to do our favorite opacity. So set our opacity on the end one, 100%. Go back to the start, set it to 0, create a keyframe for us. And boom. Does that need to happen just a little bit sooner? I think it does. Again, just going by feeling here for emotion on these animations. Ooh, select all those keyframes, drag it back a little bit so that happens a bit sooner. Cool. All right. Now, one thing I want to do for all of these is I want to add some motion blur. So let's just change. Where are we looking? Motion blur, motion blur. You get a motion blur. You get a motion blur. Do they all get a motion blur? Sure. And let's just play that now. So you see that by adding that motion blur, which is just by checking that little box there, just tiny little thing with all the little circles. Now we've got some blur happening, which is relative to the motion and movement that the text is doing. And that immediately just adds a bit more of a vibe to it all, which is great. Cool. So, happy with how this is coming out. Let's go back to our overall. And, all right. Is this looking like a magazine? I think it is. I think it's starting to feel like one. Okay, so let's just keep playing that a little bit. Something's odd about the timing here with the text. What's going on here? Okay, this needs to happen whilst the top is still happening, I think. So, where are we going? We've got Kita. I think this needs to happen kind of all about there. So select all of these keyframes, drag that into place, and let's set that to fit, because it's fit. Yeah, boy, that's looking good. Happy with that. All right. Now, there is something else that I wanted to do with this. And if I'm honest, I'm not quite sure how I'm going to achieve it just yet. Because you'll notice that in my original design, I actually had the image scaled in from the edge of the sort of bounds of this magazine cover. And I want to work out some sort of transition that goes from how we start this reel to be just the image in general, to then transitioning into the sort of cropped off version of it. So I don't know whether that needs to happen as it all scales, or whether it needs to happen afterwards, so it's like it's got the whole image and then it goes like and just sort of like pops into then being like magazine. Let's see how we're going to work this out. So let's go back into our magazine cover, and maybe we should just create some guides that I'm going to work with first and foremost. So let's go. Let me see my info. Let's create a guide at the 380 mark on the y-axis. Come on, 381. Let me zoom in a bit. Okay. So 380, boom. And then let's create one at about 80 pixels from either side. So 80 on there. Our overall width is 1500, so 1420 would be 80 from the right edge. Oh, that's not quite it. There we go, 1420. And 80 from the bottom. Our overall is 2000, so 1920. A fantastic year, so I've heard. All right. So this is the area that we're going to scale our image in. Oh, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? We've got multiple ways we can do this. Okay, so we've got our text. Let's close that, close that. This is our image. I could add a crop, but we actually want to scale it. And likewise, we're going to need a white underlay behind. Okay, let's try the scale first of all. So when that all happens and it kind of pops and done about here. So we're going to set our scale similar to how we did the last one. But this time we're going to scale it down to there. And likewise, we're going to need to add in a mask that only becomes visible at this point. Or maybe we can just add a crop. Is there a crop? Yes, crop edges. Let's drag that onto there. And okay, so let's set this to 0. Let's zero out all of them. Perfect. And we're just going to want to crop the top and the bottom. Okay, so it scales to there, and our top edge why can't I see what's happening here? Oh, it's being affected by the per edge, which we don't want. There we go. Interesting how crop top is actually affecting the bottom. That feels a little bit unintuitive. Okay, that's bizarre. Crop bottom. Let's just go. Cool. Like this. And let's just play, see what happens. Okay, so we have our scale happening, but also we need our crop to be on a keyframe. So crop top, set that to there, and set this back to 0. Where was our crop bottom? Crop bottom, make this keyframeable, and set that back to 0. Okay, that was a little bit robotic the way that that looks, so let's just good old easy ease. Okay, and let's go back to our scale. And let's likewise go back to our graph. Easy ease. Brilliant. All right, so that's kind of popping in. And I think at this point, maybe this is where that Osaka text needs to just change color. So, how do we want to do this? We could start with black text, but then that wouldn't have the same effect. So no, I think we need to or see, this is I'm going through a variety of options now. Let's see what happens if we add in the scale and the crop very much at the start. Okay, so which one of these is... That's our crop. Oh, we didn't do these as our easy ease. Do these as the easy ease. And our scale happens... They are slightly offset from each other. Let's get those in line. Cool. So what happens if we do that right at the very beginning? Let's just see. So obviously we're not going to see that top text because it's currently white. Okay, that's a little bit weird. Sort of doubles up there. Don't like that. Don't like that. Let's go back. All right. We got something happening, which is kind of cool. We just need to change that Osaka text to dark at this point. And likewise, this background color probably shouldn't be fully white because our page is not quite white. So let's just set it as a gray for now. Cool. So from here back into our magazine cover, let's close down that text. Let's go to our main title. Now for text color, of course you can do that within your text options, but I like to add it as an effect, which is the fill. So let's add Philip onto there as an effect. And let's set our fill. So from here, we want it to change. So let's keyframe that. And let's have it not quite fully black. Let's just sort of work out something like this. 151515. If that's your phone number, ring ring. That's what I'm saying. And okay, let's let that happen. Bang. That was cool. Let's maybe not quite go fully. Let's go 2 on 2 3 2 3 2 3. Nah, a little bit darker, a little bit darker. 20 20 20. Let's not do that year again. All right. Bang. Cool. That's looking great. Now, one thing I want to slap on top of this is a bit of texture. So let's pull in our texture from earlier. Where did I save that? Design, assets, textures, my textures. There we go. I think the medium one looked best. Let's just drop that in. Mode, multiply. Cool. And maybe we want this to happen at this transition point right here. So again, we could just go for a simple opacity from where it starts to scale. So we go to 0. Graph scaler. Let's just easy ease these. Put that on a t-shirt, couldn't you? Easy ease these. Reminds me of a song. I'm not going to sing it. Okay. And because we've got this scaling of the image happening, I actually want to just bump this text up a bit. So, Umeda Wanderer and Akita, I'm actually going to parent that to there. So now if I move this up, the two should come together. Cool. All right, let's now have a look at it as a whole. And why not? Let's do full screen. Great. I'm happy with that. That's kind of coming together. Cool. Okay, what can we add to this to make it a little bit more dramatic? Perhaps we can add a bit of drop shadow. So we can add a drop shadow to our main composition, the Instagram reel, and we can add a shadow. Shadow, drop a shadow. Drop that shadow on there. And opacity, let's not go too strong. Let's set it completely down. Let's set it kind of large. Definitely have some softness there. And let's have a zoom in to see what we're actually looking at. Subtle, very subtle. Distance, a bit more. Maybe need to go significantly larger on the softness and maybe the size. Oh, that's why we're sending it off the wrong angle. 180, that's what we want. Let's reduce that down. Okay, and all right. 30%, cool. Alrighty. Now, one thing I'm thinking, not quite sure how I would approach this yet, or if I've even got time for it yet, because we've only got about 6 minutes left, is I'd like to kind of layer up so that we can see almost like a bit of a ruffle of pages below. And the way I could do that, how could I do that? I could just kind of stack an offset of a blank composition. Okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So 1500 by 2000 paper stack. Background color. Make it white. Cool. And let's drop in that texture just for the sake of adding it. Let's go back to our main Instagram reel. And let's add in paper stack below. And let's parent it to our magazine cover. Okay. But let's offset the position by maybe 10 pixels either way. So if we zoom in here, we've got it offset by 10 pixels. Let's rotate it by like bit of a degree. Maybe not offset it quite as much. Maybe 5 pixels is enough. And okay, let's just duplicate it. Do the same again. Let's maybe offset it down a little bit rather than not fully out. But this time, rotate it a little bit the other way. Okay. And let's play. Cool. Pretty good. Happy with this. All right, this has actually come out kind of better than I imagined for an hour. I'm happy with this. Right, what else did I want to add? Oh, yes. Magic touch. Let's try and change this image for a video. So we have our image, which is here. Let's drop it into our essential graphics. That's good. Let's also add in subtitle text and our let's call this one highlight text. Don't know why I did that one lowercase, the other one uppercase. Never mind. And let's do this. I know those characters aren't kanji, but whatever. We've just done it. They could be kanji, could be hiragana, katakana, who knows. Okay. So we drop this in like that. All right. Let's now take this and let's call it 3x4 magazine animate. Let's save it. I think we've got everything we wanted to do. I could add in these colors and other things as some essential graphics. In fact, yeah, let's do that. So where is it? Umeda Wanderer. We have our text. What is the value on that? Let's just copy that. And let's add on our fill. Effects, fill. Paste that in. Text color. Boom. And where is our main title? Because that also changes its fill color. Properties keyframed. That's okay. Because it's going to be final color. All right, save this. Export as a motion graphics template. Let's drop it into... Sure, let's just put it in there. Okay, that's fine. I have the font installed. Now let's open Premiere. And let's see if this can be an editable template that we'll work with later down the line. Because I have, let me mute this because it's a bit noisy. I have all these clips from the same evening that I think will be quite cool to add in. If it doesn't work in Premiere, we can just add the video in After Effects. So let's now go to our libraries. Animate title 6. Let's drop that in there. And let's go window workspace. Vertical video. There we go. And in true city fashion, I've got sirens happening outside. I wonder if you can hear those. All right, and essential graphics, let's drop in this video. Let's play it back. How about that? We can have an animated magazine cover with video playing in the background. Or maybe we want to drop in a different clip. Let's say this one. That's pretty cool. I'm happy with that. I'd probably go back and adjust that initial frame so that it can overscale it so that we've got the video playing in general. But the ability to have that video drop in some text and then boom. Let's just try another one. Let's replace that, drop it in. That's pretty cool. I'm happy. I'm happy. Are you happy? I'm happy. So I think I'm gonna spend some time finessing this and tweaking it, and then I'll find some sort of like finalized version, and I'll probably post that onto my Instagram when I get around to finishing it. I've got a few other projects on the go at the moment and a few other things, but I think this could be a new sort of format and style that I may do, because I really want to bridge that gap between my design background and my photography and my filmmaking, and of course animation, coding, bring it all together, and make something unique. So yeah, I hope this has been a cool stream for you to follow along. I know it's not been as tutorially as others because there's been a lot that I've wanted to get going, and I don't always have the time to run through and explain exactly what I'm doing, because then we lose out on the eventual product. But yeah, this has been fun for me. I hope it was fun for you, and we'll catch you on Adobe Live another time super soon. Let me just check in the comments if we've got any extra things. We've got mentions for lens flare. Don't say lens flare, don't say lens flare. Absolutely not. They can look cheesy or outdated, or they can look super cool. Anyway, let's see it just one more time in After Effects as a full screen. Boom. Let's just play it from 0. There we go. That's with the static image. And of course we can replace that with the video as well. But overall, I'm pretty happy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on Adobe Live super soon. See you later. Bye bye.